Greetings, this is Lord British, and welcome to the Shroud of the Avatar Forsaken Virtues 6-month progress video. We're going to start our tour in Kingsport Village on the Isle of Lost Vale. Players here will find not only a picturesque waterfront village, but a place where they too can call home, both with lots on the seaside. You can see here as we fly by, you can see some of those lots marked out with buoys, as well as plots they can build their village homes right here on the shore of this very picturesque village. And player ownership, we think, is one of the major features, major attractions of Shroud of the Avatar, but that also means that it needs to be one of the fairly early and important choices. There went by a for sale sign on a couple of those lots there. We think that getting into the game early and finding the place that you wish to call home will be a particularly fun part of your visit to the game. And I think that here, Kingsport Village will be a popular destination for our players. We're going to take you back now into the town of Owl's Head. You got a brief glimpse of this in our 3-month video, but now we've built out the entire town. This is much larger than Kingsport. And you can see what we're doing here too is we're fading in and out all the player housing to give you a glimpse of what it might have looked like, at the beginning of the game or later after players have come. We just flew over a minute ago that wooden outer wall, the barrier of the Palisades, and we're into the merchant area. We'll come down to these major crafting areas that we'll revisit a bit later. There's Fire Lotus's Tavern we've just flown over. And here are these fortified walls of the inner city, which is not only where the seat of government is kept here in better protection, but also these very large city lots. And here you can see fading in some of the city houses that people have either earned or could buy in game. And you can see, not only is this much more fortress-like, and fortified, but the kinds of homes and businesses you'll find here at the core of these bigger cities is much more elaborate than you might find in some of the outlying villages. So depending on what your preference is of city life or country life, you can choose either a place like Kingsport or a place like Owl's Head, but we'll get a chance to visit some of these homes now next. In fact, on our tour of homes, our first stop is the Idleman House. This is a one-room, one-story, plaster and wood-based kind of Germanic-themed house that we actually especially made for our German backers a few months back. Our second stop is the Viking House. It has a very strong Nordic influence with a large open wooden structure, and it also has, if you look around there, you can see that staircase that goes up to a second-floor loft. And in fact, this is also the first player house that you can find in our add-on store that you can purchase separately in addition to those that we've been giving out to the original backers of the game. Now we'll switch over and let's take a peek at the Wizard's Tower. Now the Wizard's Tower is a magically themed player house. And in fact, you can see that even from here at the beginning, you can see the front steps are kind of floating up on their own. And when you step inside, you can see that it's clear that a magician has helped build this 2-story tower, and including a teleporting device to get up to the upper rooms. And so when you decide to leave and go upstairs here through this teleporter, when you arrive on the upper floor, you see 3 large rooms. In fact, on top of the tower, you not only have this big outer balcony, but side rooms that in this case the player has decorated like a small bedroom, and on the other side a small office. By the way, it's worth noting that the doors have all been removed from these player houses for this demonstration purposes, just so we could more speedily and visually move through these scenes for this demonstration. Now, after the Wizard's Tower, we're going to take you over to the Druid House. And what's cool about the Druid House is it's sort of like a stone building has been overgrown and enveloped by a very large mystical tree. In this case, you can see we have a very large first-floor room built out of stone on the interior. And if we go back outside, instead of having a stairway case on the inside, on the outside we have built a ramp area so you can go up really through the tree itself to the upper floor. And in this case, you can see we really have quite a bit of space. By building those exterior staircases, we've reserved, even in a relatively small home, quite a bit of space for you to decorate and make your own. Now we'll move on to the town tower, as we call it. This is actually the largest of the townhomes we currently offer. It not only has this large main grand entry floor, but a grand staircase as well that will take you up to the upper floor. And in addition to having these very tall ceilings and these very tall rooms, plenty of room here to decorate. But in this case, the town tower also has an outer balcony where you can get a nice view over the village serfs who might live nearby. And in addition to the upper 2 floors of the town tower, if we come back down here through the grand staircase, you may have noticed there's a staircase that actually goes downwards, and this takes you to a lower floor of this house, which in this case has been decorated as an alchemist lab. And you can also see that this player has recovered the Throne of Bones from a previous adventure that you may have seen that they've decorated with as well. Now we're going to see the Lord's House. This was a backer reward to our Lord and above backers. This fits on there's a very large home actually that fits on a town-sized lot. It's about 2.5 stories. It's very large, has very high ceilings. As you can see, in this case on the main floor, we've got plenty of room to set this up as a living room, dining room, has an outer balcony on this floor. One of my favorite parts of this one, though, is the roof. It's got a very open roof. In this case, we've got a cooking station up top. Now we are looking at the Lord of the Manor Keep. This is for our highest level of backers, the Lords of the Manor. This largest and building is really, truly expansive. It completely fills a city-sized lot. There are numerous rooms, vast amounts of room to decorate. In fact, these are so large that the early houses that you saw in the game, such as that Idleman house, would fit inside most of the rooms of this house. Not only that, but we think that this is likely one of, if not the largest player structure offered out to players as a personal homestead in a role-playing game. But in any case, I think that any Lord of the Manor should be pleased and proud to have a building or a homestead, a keep of this scale. You can see here on this floor. In fact, it's large enough to have a private chapel that would seat 50 or 100 of your closest friends. And so I think that the amount of space there will be bountiful. In addition to these larger lots and home sizes, players can expand their holdings by building down. This we're running into here is one of the 2-story basements. You'll, by the way, notice that we're running around for the first time here as our female avatar. This 2-story stone basement comes as a reward for some of our backer levels. This one happens to be decked out. This floor is decked out as a crafting area, but like I mentioned, it's a 2-story basement, so we can go take a peek downstairs before we run off to another basement. This one is a large town-sized timber and stone basement. Here you can see a larder and on this floor, as well as if I go downstairs, you can see that it is kind of decked out as a tavern up top and a magical library down here on the lower floor. This one here is also a city-sized timber and stone style basement. Its upper floor in this case is decked out as a library. You can see again with these larger lot sizes the truly large amounts of space that is available. And so we think that players who want extra space in their homesteads will find these basements to be a great addition. We're going to go on to home decoration. We're back out in front of our knight's house in Owl's Head. You may remember from earlier demos. And of course, you can not only decorate inside your house, but outdoors. You can see we can sit in the chair outside by this crafting area that we have created. And we're going to sneak around the back of this house to an area you may have seen also in a previous video where we have some of the art created for one of our backers called the Hairy Man. He made these great bedding rolls and such, the tents and things. This guillotine that, of course, we can pick up and take with us and perhaps take the town square and see if we can put it to use. As we head over to go inside, if I want, you can begin to even take stacks of objects and, not just set objects around, but start to build stacks of objects. On the interior here of the home, lots of things I could interact with and move around, including the wall decorations. So not only can I adjust their position, but for example, if I grab this picture on the wall, I can not only move it, but you can see that as I move it across the room, it tries to realign itself to match the surface. Additionally, here on the floor, of course, I can move the carpet. But over in these bookcases, you'll notice that these books are actually individual books that have been set on those bookcases. And so I can actually move the full bookcase with all the books on the case itself. And they move as a unit in a parent-child type relationship, which also then means I can move the carpet under the bookcase and the bookcase will come with it. It means I can add the barrel on top of the carpet, and now they all move as a unit, and yet, as you can see, they're all still individual pieces. I can drag a book off that bookcase that was in that stack. We think that the decorating system will provide a great deal of entertainment for our backers. Back out on the streets of Owl's Head, let's wander around the town and see if we can find some people to talk to. In this case, you can see I've walked up to a guard, and as we've demonstrated before, we have a natural language conversation system. So instead of clicking on menu items or just speaking keywords, you can actually speak in full sentences, and the game will pull out of your conversation and what you've typed. It'll search for things that the guard might be able to respond to, even if typed in fairly complex sentences and even multiple sentences, and make sure that the guard tries to keep up with, the guard in this case, tries to keep up with what you're talking about. And you can also see that we're beginning to see the storyline unfold as the guard is expressing some skepticism and concern about my claim to have come not from New Britannia, but in fact a distant place called Earth, as they've heard prophecies of bad things for people who make that type of representation. You can see also here we're going to chat with this little stable boy who's taking care of some of the animals down here, and he, as you can see, might be a little bit of a simpleton, so it seems unlikely that I will get the kinds of information out of him that I will need to advance the plot particularly well, although I too like bees and think Arabella is pretty. But let's move on now to this crafting area. As you know, crafting is critical to Shroud of the Avatar. We really want a vibrant player economy where most of the equipment in game that you'll find will be player created, including not just combat equipment, but even the tools and things required for crafting, and the interconnection between those crafting disciplines we want to make as strong as possible too. And the crafting is broken up into really three phases: gathering ingredients, refining those ingredients, and then producing a final product. In this case, we've just taken some iron ingots that we had already smelted. We used a sword blank to cast a sword for later blacksmithing. We're now going to take 2 more iron ingots, iron bars that we had already smelted. We're going to use a sheet mold, and what we get out of that is an iron sheet, which we can later use to make a breastplate. So now I'll take my molds back. I'll leave the smelting station, and instead I'll move over to the blacksmith station. And when we go over here to the blacksmith station, one of the first things I'll pull out onto the table, in addition to those blanks, is the smithing hammer that I can use to kind of bang these things into shape. I pulled out a hilt that I had made previously, and now I can craft a sword out of that, which I can immediately put to use as a player. Additionally, I can still use the hammer a sheet of metal, and some leather straps, and I'm going to try to make a breastplate here to wear, but you'll notice that since the breastplate requires leather straps to hold all the parts and pieces together, I would have had to have acquired the leather strapping from a tanner to be able to put to use here in creating armor, that now with my freshly made sword, my freshly made armor, I can go out and do something really heroic, like kill off one of these chickens on the streets of the village. I probably did not do too much for my virtue by doing that. Now we've stepped out into a prison that can be found beneath Owl's Head, affectionately known as the Clink. And you can see I've dressed a bit like the guards to see if I might be able to sneak in here, but as you can tell, they saw through my disguise and still have allowed me to go and do some exploring here in the city prison. You also might see the little glowing moat around me, a little light spell that it's helping me see. And I peek over this little vantage point down into the prison labor crafting area, and off now into the warden's room, where he has been, obviously keeping an eye on the prisoners as well. But looky there, I snuck through a little illusory wall in the back of his office that was there to let him make a quick escape, and/or through another illusory wall here, so we can get over into the prison area, the prisoner holding areas. And so now I'm sort of backstage, you might say, in the prison, probably an area where I'm really not supposed to be. In fact, down here is the cell blocks, and I can hear a bit of a commotion going on down the hall from me. Let's see if I can figure out what that is. Here's where that sound's coming from, and sure enough, this is a kobold that has apparently escaped from the prison. The guards are here trying to subdue him, and so I think if I help out these guards, I'll get on their good side, and that might help me in the future quests I have and negotiations I have with these the folks down here in the Clink. And the Clink is one of the places where we're really trying to make sure that every time you come back, it's a new experience down there in that little dungeon underneath the city. Now we're back outside in the surrounding forest, and as you can see, this is our first good view of this female avatar. Let's head out into the woods and see if we might find be able to gather some meat or some hides for crafting. And as I search out here in the woods, this is one of the first old-growth forests we've built, and sure enough, out here in the woods, here's a pack of wolves. That might a good wolf pelt might be something of value. So let me first fire off a fireball and pull out a dagger here. And again, this is the first prototype of combat. This will be refined greatly in the months to come, but you can kind of see where we're heading there with the first combats. In this case, here is a bear. I've used a little bit of lightning on this bear and a little bit of heavier weapon, in this case a mace, and see if I can't take down this bear. And sure enough, I still can. And I've also heard that out in these woods that there are some satyrs who have been hunting in these forests too, and harassing a lot of the humans that have been out here. And sure enough, there are some of these satyrs, and I since I'd been sent on a quest to kind of either run them off or kind of see deal with the fact that they're here, kind of encroaching on human lands, I'll fire a fireball at this guy as well. And as you can see, he is upset with me, not only fighting with me, but kind of extolling the fact that they think these are their woods and that we're encroaching on them. And so, sure enough, that may be a deeper story that I'll have to work on here, in the months to come. All right, now we are down in a cavern that we found in that forest. And this is the first example I think you've seen of things being built with our Caverns set. Now, in this particular set of Caverns, in addition to it being built with the natural cavern set, you can see that this one has become inhabited, and it looks like it's an inhabitation for kobolds. And so, since they are one of our biggest enemies here in this game, here we are having a little bit of a combat with these kobolds. But you can see that they have been setting up shop in here for quite some time. Again, don't forget, this is just early prototypical combat. We'll see a great many refinements in that here over time. Yet you can see that down here in this cave, in addition to the tunnel set and some of the natural lighting, torch sconces and other traditional habitation activities have begun to take place here in this cavern. On the other hand, here is another natural cave that while it is not currently inhabited by people, you can see that it might have been in the past inhabited by some miners. A few signs of previous inhabitation. A few of the glowing mushrooms around available light, and look, lo and behold, this cave is now occupied by bears. And since bears are our mortal enemy, apparently, we better here dispatch this bear if we can, and try to rid these caves of the plague of bears. Our final combat area to show you today is the Dragon Fields. Now, out here in this open area, not only is there a dragon to worry about who's causing these fires and shooting fireballs down at me, but there's also this overturned Cobalt Cart, which could represent a great opportunity for looting, but I'll also have to defend myself against the kobolds here who are trying to protect the remaining parts of their spoils. And so, as you can see, the dragon is both firing fireballs at me as well as the kobolds, so this will be a pretty dangerous place if I want to deal with it. So there you go. There is our 6-month demonstration of Lord British's Shroud of the Avatar Forsaken Virtues. Now, we couldn't end without showing off some of the results of the amazing scene jams that you all have been competing in and contributing to. As all of you know, we're not just developing this project on our own. We're not just developing it with you as contributors to the project, in advance of its release, but many of you are contributing art directly into the game, or now competing in these scene jams, and these scene jams are allowing us to, not only discover new techniques that many of you are experimenting with and showing us, but a lot of the times you guys are creating levels that are, almost immediately able to be dropped into the game as scenes, as experiences for us to use, almost as is. And for us, that's just exceptionally exciting. I mean, to find that level of talent in the community. And the winners of this scene jam, and this was the second week scene jam, the winners, created this incredibly compelling environment where just moving through it and seeing how they use the props and the lighting and the objects really told a deep story, and they built a lot of their own custom scripts and objects, and it really feels a lot like we hoped that we would find, and frankly, it exceeded our hopes. With the level of quality and sophistication and storytelling and mood that went into this scene. So really our deep thanks and our deep gratitudes to those of you who built such amazing levels and contributed them into our Week 2 Scene Jam. Now, our Week 3 Scene Jam was to make a village, which could be a significantly trickier challenge to make them good. And again, creating villages and habitations with story was one of our big criteria, having a sense of pace and flow, and our winners in this case, completely rocked it. The fact that they created spaces that not only lived up to our needs from being able to make it occupiable by player housing, the ability for there to be a sense of story, like in this case, you could really tell that this village had seen some trouble of late and had hastily built these fortifications to keep out the bad guys. You could really see it and feel it as you move through the space, and then on the interior of the space, these areas were very much like we would like to find in the towns that we build. And then finally, of course, our winners, again, not only crafted an amazingly detailed environment, but I know I'm sounding like I'm repeating myself, but told a really great story visually. And in this case, we could travel around this town. You can see the sense of story as you move up the hill, move through the levels of fortifications to get into this town. And one of the things we were most excited about was how not only did we have the daytime scene of this village, but they actually transitioned into having both a day cycle and a nighttime cycle, which provided a great opportunity for moodiness and special effects opportunities as we move through at night, where they had not only the wind in the trees, but the clouds and lightning and blowing dust and debris really added a sense of mood and story that we were extraordinarily impressed by, learned a great deal ourselves from, and again we're so thankful that we have such an amazingly talented community working with us here in the creation of Shroud of the Avatar. I sure hope you've liked what you've seen. We're pretty pleased with our progress so far. We're exceptionally proud of the support we've been getting from our community, so thank you very much.